welcome everyone. Before we get started and I bring JB on, I just want to take a minute to thank my patrons, both from Patreon and direct patrons. You all made the making of this new album possible in a way that I've never been able to do before. It was really special that the resources to create this album were made possible by you. And now we get to share it with the world. I'm so excited to bring on JB, who produced, performed many of the instruments, a lot of the background vocals. I can't tell you what an amazing adventure it was to be with JB on this. So let's bring JB on.
So when it was time for Red to do this new thing and he called me, he was like, you know, I have this vision. I want to do this thing and I want it to be about, you know, I want it to be about nature. And that was going to be the central theme. He had all these songs. But one of the first things I noticed was that instead of just conceptual songs about nature, a lot of them were like personified tributes to different fruits and different, you know, like it was just so different. And I thought it was so cool because you were, I don't think you've ever inhabited characters like this. No. So those of you who've heard the record, you know what I'm talking about. Like Red stretches really far in this and does all these different things. So like an example of that, probably the perfect example of that might be Black Rhinoceros. Check this out.
I am a black rhinoceros, I weigh over a ton. Big as I am, you might not guess how fast that I can run. I have 2 horns, sometimes 3 that stick out of my head. Do not pick a fight with me or you may end up dead. I am a vegetarian, I graze on leaves and shoots. I snack on twigs like pretzels, I am fond of many fruits. Thorns and sticks don't bother me, that's why I have thick skin. If tasty leaves are in a bush, I push my way right in. I have 4 legs I stand on, each with 3 little toes. How do they hold up all my weight? The truth is no one knows.
Anyway, you get the idea. That's the vibe. Black Rhinoceros. And one of the other things too, we wanted to talk to you guys about is that we like each song, because they're all over the map stylistically, we wanted each one of them to have like a secret ingredient that sets it apart from the rest. So or usually 2 or 3 secret ingredients that only that song would have, right? And so with this one, the big secret ingredient, besides Red doing the voice of the character, in this case, we had this guy named Merman Mosengo, and he is a musical genius. Everything he touches turns to magic. And I've been working with him for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years off and on. We do a lot of different kinds of music with him. He knows all kinds of African genres. He comes from Congo Republic and he lived in South Africa, and he sings for Playing for Change. I'm sure lots of you guys know about Playing for Change, but he's kind of the main singer of the Playing for Change touring band and stuff, and he's well known because of that. But when we did this, the cool thing about him is that anytime you add him to a song, you don't know what he's going to add. So in this case, he just added all this ambient kind of cool sonic chatter that we never could have dreamed of, just sort of all these sounds. And his name is Merman, Mermans, Mermans Mosengo. And he's just unbelievable. He'll pick up a bass and pick up a guitar and sit down at the drums and just absolutely blow your mind. None of that is as good as the way he sings. So as soon as he sings, it eclipses all these other amazing talents that he has. This is an unbelievable amount of talent. So when we sent him this, we were like, hey, what do you want to add to this? And he said, don't worry about it. I'll just send it back. And yeah, I think I know what to do. And so he just added all this like amazing kind of randomness to the song. There's constant chatter going back and forth between the two speakers and sort of hovering around Red's vocal, and it's just killer. So that's the secret sauce for that particular song. That, and I think that we did the instead of a bass, it's like a bass kalimba, which is something that you normally never even see. Kalimbas are usually these little things that you play with your thumbs, but this is a bass kalimba, so it's like big giant versions of that, and that's the bass for this tune. Red, I know we jumped right to this song, but you have anything to add to that?
Oh, just what Mermans did. And yeah, you write these songs, and those of you who know this album now, there's some wonderful stuff on here. And you say, how on earth do you produce that? What do you do? Another one like that is Rancam Bristow 5, and it's this alien visiting the Earth. And it's a really sweet song, actually, quirky and sweet, but you still have to produce it. Because I was just doing it live. My name is Rancam Bristow 5. I come from Pleroid 10. Well, it's, to do that live is one thing, but to have it on an album, what are you going to do? What's the sonic context for this thing? And JB played with it. We played with it until we got something.
We dug for a little while on that one, didn't we?
We did.
I'll play a little piece of it.
My name is Rancam Bristow 5. I come from Pleroid 10. My mission is to study Earth, then go back home again. I've traveled all around your globe. I've been from top to bottom. And all the facts there are to find, I'm pretty sure I've got 'em. I've listed all your animals, I've cataloged your plants, spent countless happy Earth days on the secret life of ants. I've swum across your oceans, I have sipped 1,000 teas. I've flown with flocks of finches, I have tasted black-eyed peas. I've bonged a gong beat on a drum, played banjo on my knee, and learned to sing Row, Row Your Boat in 3-part harmony. I've seen the dancing northern lights, watched blinking fireflies. But what intrigues me most is what comes shining from your eyes.
So for this one, the secret sauce was like little space sounds. And we didn't want it to be a goofy amount of space sounds, but just sort of like a subtle feeling of dreaminess and floatiness around him. And Red was like, should we keep the ukulele? I played ukulele through this, but it sounds too earthy. It sounds too earthbound for the concept. And so we just made the ukulele sound super spaced out as well. And then it worked. So the ukulele is kind of echoing around and fitting in with all the little blips and bleeps that make you think you're drifting in space.
Cora asked a question. She said, is singing in a voice or accent challenging when you're recording for an album as opposed to performing live? Actually, no. Because when you're in the studio, well, in my office, I mean, astonishingly, all these vocals were done in my office. And that's all. You can thank John Resin for helping get me set up for that. But it's just you and the sound of the track, and so you can go anywhere when you're in the recording like that. It was really easy to go into these crazy voices. But as JB said, I've never really done an album where I've done that before, and it was really fun. I don't know why I waited so long to do it, but it was really fun. Yeah.
Every song had to have something like that. So that kind of became our theme of like, what's this tune going to have that none of the other ones have? So some of them would have kids on them. Some of them would have, like a full live band. Some of them would be really minimalistic and just have one special instrument that appears nowhere else on the whole album. And that was super fun. So I think each one of them, it's like that. Like I think on Guacamole, it's the keyboards, it's the B3 organ and the rock and roll piano, which is really cool. Let me think. I got to hear it. Here's part of that one.
Avocados grow on a tree. They fall to the ground when they're ready to eat. Push on the skin if it gives a bit. It's time to make a dish that really gives me the fix. Guacamole. Guacamole. Ooh. Mash up avocados till they're squishy and smooth. Add salt, a little lime or lemon juice. Ooh. Take that avocado, cut it in two. When you get rid of the pit, what's left staring at you. It's rich and creamy, that's the stuff. It's okay to have a taste, but make sure you leave enough for guacamole. Guacamole. Ooh. Mash up avocados till they're squishy and smooth. Add salt, a little lime or lemon juice. Ooh.
So on this tune, we had Karen Hammock from LA playing rock and roll piano, like really old school bluesy 50s rock piano. And it's so legit that it took the whole thing up to kind of another level. And then I kind of wanted to complement that with an organ, like a really old organ. And I'm not a real keyboard player like she is, but it was fun to try to just, fit in with the level of the stuff that she did. I ended up having a blast just putting organ on that one and tons of guitars, guitar. Crunchy little guitars.
I got to tell you, it was, to be a songwriter and to write songs and then say, you know what this feels like, right? It's an old rock and roll thing, right? And then to end up with that track. I mean, just too much fun. Because, I sang it like there was going to be that track there, right? Just me and the guitar. And he put it under there. It's so great. So great. But listen, talking about guitars, you have to go to Dirty Dirt Dirt and play them, the guitar solo. The secret sauce in this one, I think there's a banjo in this. But really, for me, the secret sauce in this is the electric guitar. Yeah.
Okay, let me
the solo. It's one of the best country electric guitar solos. Yeah, and it's on my record. So there we go.
So we can hear identify what the other secret thingies are.
We just have to get the garden ready to go. A little earth will never hurt you. Working in the dirt's a virtue. Choosing what to plant is really fun. Marking out the rows, here we come. Dropping seeds one by one right into the dirty dirt dirt. Start digging.
I know what it is on this one. It's the mouth harp. That little sound.
Here they come, laying out a garden. All you need is some dirt, some seeds, and the mystery of how a head and lettuce ever come to be. Right out of the dirty dirt. It sure is mysterious.
How the heck does it happen?
JB and I were talking before we started, and one of the things we're really excited about as musicians is that this album, if you really listen to it, there is so much to listen to, so many levels. And we're just giving you a little taste. There was the Jaws harp in there, all these little pieces. I mean, it took a long time to make the album, but I'm delighted. It doesn't matter that it took this long because the result was so rich for me, and it stands repeated listenings, all these little cool little, pieces.
Yeah, that song, like that little the twanginess of that little harp kind of set the tone for everything else in the song, believe it or not. And every song's like that. I know the one you're talking about though with the banjo. I think that's the Compost song. The Compost song it's the banjo and the mandolin. And I think upright bass too. I can't remember, but we sent this off to Nashville and got some killer Nashville players that are playing on everybody's country albums to put the real deal, kind of playing out on the porch kind of flavor that this tune needed. So if you listen, it's like it features that. Those are kind of the main things that made this one stick out. Let's see if I'm properly queued up on that.
There's a garbage dump out my back door. Why me? Why us? Go figure. My mom adds to it every day, and it just keeps getting bigger. Rotten tomatoes, cherry pits, slimy overripe spinach, and the veggie soup from the back of the fridge. We meant to, but never quite finished. From a plant, it goes in the pile. That's my mama's motto. Like coffee grinds and watermelon rinds and the skins of avocado. She says this stuff is valuable. You can't just throw it away. It makes the best black dirt in the world. Just give it some time to decay. Doesn't stink, I don't know why. The stuff going in sure does. But covered with dirt, the smell goes away. Not a whiff where the stink once was. Once was not a whiff where the stink once was.
That banjo just rocks. So yeah, those are the real guys playing that stuff. We couldn't there was no way to fake that. We had to send it to Nashville.
And it was funny because for some reason, it doesn't sound really much like John Prine, but I had John Prine in my head when I was singing that. For those of you who are folkies, I just sang it like I thought John Prine would if he was sitting on the back porch. Again, a voice. I don't know. Not exactly my voice, but kind of my voice. Okay, I want us to switch gears to the sublime. Okay, so I had this song. The guitar part was really simple and very sweet, but we needed a setting. And JB said, I think it needs strings, and so he sent it off, and you can take it from there, JB. But This one makes me cry sometimes when I listen to what Skip Van Cusky did on the strings.
So Skip is somebody I was introduced to 20 years ago in Portland, Oregon. And he played all the string parts. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the record I made with Eric Dozier called Badashed Volume 1. There was a song on there called He Maketh Victorious that had a whole string section, but that string section was just this one guy playing cello. And he plays so beautifully that when he plays way up at the top of the range of the cello, where you're not even really supposed to play, it sounds like real violas and violins. Like he's just so, he's got such a wonderful sense of the big picture and like you end up with a whole arrangement, and it was amazing. So when we talked about this song having that kind of transcendent feeling to it, I pictured Skip playing on it, not only as a multiple string section kind of, but also as the bass player kind of, because and I noticed that there's an artist called Sarah Jarosz who uses a cellist as her playing the bass parts in her songs sometimes, and I love the way it sounds. So that was what had to happen here. So I'm going to play some of it and you'll see. Like I guess what you want to listen for is like there's some effects that almost sound like seagulls. That's cello. There's a thing that sounds like a stand-up bass. That's cello. Almost everything going on is Skip playing the cello.
I stand beneath an open sky, a vast expanse of blue, and wonder all about the worlds that lie beyond my view. 100 billion galaxies with massive neutron stars, and things like anti-gravity, dark matter, and quasars. And on those far-off planets, are there creatures living there? If so, what do they eat for lunch? What do they breathe for air? Do they have fruits like cherries and figs and nectarines, and vegetables like broccoli, bok choy, and lima beans? Do they have grass to run on, and big tall climbing trees, and daffodils, and hummingbirds, and butterflies, and bees? So far, we only know of one.
Anyway, you have to listen to the whole thing. But it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous the way he complemented that arrangement, or really created that arrangement, because we just really set him loose and said, do your thing. And we did that a lot with the musicians on this record. We didn't want to over micromanage them and overproduce them. We wanted them to kind of like really let their soul out. And when Skip was done with this, it blew us away so much. And we talked to him on the phone. We were just like, my gosh, that's insane. And he said, I was really emotional doing this. He said this was just a profound experience, putting the strings to this. And we just, by the time it was over, we just we didn't want to add anything else. I don't even know if there's anything else in there. It's hidden. Like I'm pretty sure we just left it at that. But the guitar is great, and the cellos are just like, it.
So I think we need to go to One Little Person because of
Cool.
all the tracks, JB. I don't know. What is your favorite musically? What is your favorite track on this album? I wonder.
It's hard to say. I'm a reggae fanatic, so I always love it when we dabble in that world, and we got great players, from that world on this stuff. So I love One Little Person from a style standpoint because it's reggae, and also Hooray for the World, which is more of a 1960s type of reggae, like Jimmy Cliff, or songs that a lot of pop artists were doing with Jamaican musicians, like Mother and Child Reunion, or I Can See Clearly Now, stuff like that. I love that stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I'm crazy about the string arrangement, the way that came off on the Tomatoes one. Let me just play you a little bit of this reggae thing because it's so much fun. One Little Person.
I'm one little person doing one little thing. Doesn't mean much if you know what I mean. But if 8 billion people do the very same thing, it means a lot. Put a little bit of toothpaste on your brush, 1/8 of an ounce. It's not very much, but when 8 billion people do the very same thing, it's over 31,000 tons of toothpaste. Whatever we're doing, there's probably a lot of people doing the exact same thing. When we start to realize how it all adds up, a little bell in our brain goes. We think about it when the toothpaste in the tube finally runs out. We throw the tube away, it's only half of an ounce. But if 8 billion people do the very same thing, it's 125,000 tons of plastic. Whatever we're doing, there's probably a lot of people.
So the secret sauce on this one is the real Hammond B3 organ, which is one of my favorite instruments in the world. And it's being played by Roger Smith, who is the organist for the band Tower of Power for decades. Roger is an unbelievable Hammond B3 organ player, and so what he brings to it is this really, really authentic old school sort of like the way the B3 would be played on a Bob Marley album or a Peter Tosh album. Like that's the style. And yeah, that was just I think that was the extra special ingredient on this one. You might not notice that listening to it, but if you think about it, then you will notice it. So yeah, Roger.
I have to take a minute and thank the kids. Now, on many of my albums, I have lots of songs where the kids are singing with me. On this one, there's only a few. Hooray for the World, Nectarini. That's it. Just those two. But, boy, and I did a short little reel that I want to share with you guys showing... I always love and am terrified by sessions with kids because you catch this most amazing sound. But, of course, they're kids. So, anyway, I just want to show you this. The first one, it's just a short little clip. And in the first segment, you see Izzy, who, gosh, how old was she? She must have been like 3. and technically she shouldn't have been part of the session, but we thought maybe we'd give it a try, and you'll see what happens. She finally kind of gets it, but then you see that we go on without her. But anyway, here, let me bring this up. Hooray! 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 Hooray!
Oh.
Hooray! Hooray! Okay. Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Nectarine, nectarine, reen, reen. It's as sweet a fruit as there is ever been, been. If you tasted one, then you know what I mean. Nectarine, nectarine. Bean, bean, bean. Bean, bean, bean. Bean, bean, bean. Nectarine, nectarine, it's the sweetest fruit as there has ever been, been. If you've tasted one, then you know what I mean. Nectarine, nectarine.
The parents that were involved, and at the end of one little person, the resin kids. But I just had to show, but the parents, you don't do a kids session without the parents. And actually, Asia and Tara, sang a little on it. It really helps when you're recording kids to have a guide vocal. You want the kid's voice. That's what you want. And everybody there were good singers. But, really good. Chase is great. Louis is great. Parker is great. Major is great. They were all wonderful singers. But, they're learning the songs. And so it helped to have a guide vocal. So Asia and Tara were great for that. And then just the parents helping make it happen. So thank you.
That's kind of professional level guide vocaling. Those are real singers.
Yep. Yep.
It's cool.
I think we need to give a little bit of a shout out to, not huge shout out to John. We finished this album and we sent it to John, and he did some fine tuning, mixing, and mastering. And I got to tell you, when I heard the finished thing, how do you describe the difference, JB?
Well, we had it to the point where we were happy with everything already. And I've worked with John Resin a zillion times. He mixed my stuff. He did all the Badash stuff. We worked on a ton of other projects together, stuff with my band. I've worked with John in a million different contexts over the years for decades. And he's the one that got you up and running with your vocal sound at the house and everything. So he was involved at the beginning. And then when we felt like it was done, we sent it all to John for the final polish. And what happened was that when we heard it back, it felt like he found the energy that was the level of energy just went up. It just sounded like somebody took a blanket off the whole project. It was like, we thought it sounded great already. And then when it came back from John, it just had all this sparkle and all this movement. And that was just a matter of, that's like what you really want from a mix engineer, is to take everything and not just balance it, but also to kind of like exaggerate it, almost make it sound like even more of what it was, kind of on 11, so to speak. So that's how we felt when we heard the final stuff coming back from John. It just felt like the sun came out, you know, and that's so important with a project like this. It's got to have that, you know, it can't sound distant or dim in any way. It has to be really immediate and just like super fun the whole time. And that's what he brought. So yeah, huge shout out to John. I work with him every chance I get. Truthfully.
One more thing to shout out. We have to do a little shout out to Aaron, who did the cover. And let me see, hang on a second. Boom. You know, it just jumps. I did an earlier album cover with another artist who did a beautiful job, but it didn't capture the energy of the album, and so I had to start over again. And Aaron just, wow, it's really wonderful, and it reflects the crazy energy and delight of the album. So thank you, Aaron Creeder. Some of you know his work from the Brilliant Star children's magazine, yeah, so we're so happy to have him work on this one. So we're winding down, JB. You got to, what else do you want to cover?
We have to talk about 15,000 Kinds of Tomatoes.
Yes, we do. Again, where these, you know, I believe these songs aren't really mine. You get help from the next world on these songs, and you say, where on earth? Who are you people? He's probably the same person that helped me write the Barnyard Boogie. Because I often say I can't wait to meet him in the next world and find out who are these people that helped me write these songs. But 15,000 Kind of Tomatoes, oh my gosh.
It's crazy. So this one, Karen, again, the piano player, we sent her this song in a very raw state. And the lyrics are so hilarious, and the performance and the whole vibe that you put on it, you know, she got it right away. And we wanted it to have this old-timey, almost vaudeville piano sound, sort of like turn of the 20th century kind of feeling. And she was just like, say no more, you know. And she just absolutely rocked it. And she sent us back this kind of double piano part. It doesn't really sound like a double piano part, but she kind of decorated the first part by adding a few extra things on there. And this is the song where we mashed our heads against it for months and months, trying to figure out what the extra sauce was going to be. Like I said, every song had to have it, right? And every song, a lot of them, it just came up. Like on Nectarini, it was, you know, random as you can imagine. It was an auto harp and a hammered dulcimer. Those were the things that made that song jump. Okay, but on this one, it just wasn't coming. Like no matter what we tried, we tried a lot of different stuff. We even tried the little monkey drum set, like the little toy monkey drums. We tried everything on this tune, and the only thing we liked was the piano, the original piano part. And then we realized what it needs is like a really self-serious sounding, sort of buttoned up string quartet, like you would hear on a George Martin produced Beatles song, like on a song like Piggies, or, you know, not quite Eleanor Rigby, but a little more of a pastiche of the string quartet vibe. And this is one that I sent out to a bunch of people to try to help with, and it wasn't happening. And I eventually realized that I had the string arrangement in my head, because I kept thinking about George Martin, and I wasn't going to get it out of anybody. And so Red encouraged me to just do the darn string arrangement. And so I sat down and just said, okay, fine. I've done a little bit of string arranging, but I'm not a string arranger. So that's an intimidating world for a, you know, for a rock and roll guitar guy from the Canadian prairies to try to do a proper string quartet arrangement that's got to sound really, you know, super proper. You know, that's what would carry the funny kind of feeling of the song. Anyway, it worked out partly because I sent it to my son's former violin teacher, Jenny Asher, who is the cantor at a synagogue in LA. She's got a lot of different talents, obviously. But her COVID project was to teach herself the cello. So she already ripped on violin and viola, but I remember her talking about how she was gonna learn cello as her sort of quarantine project. I mean, come on. I don't want to make anybody feel bad, including myself, but that's a quarantine project. So she came out of it knowing how to shred on cello, and she played my string arrangement. And so here's Karen's piano, Jenny playing all 4 parts of the string quartet. And I don't even know, did we put anything else on this? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Let's listen.
There are 15,000 kinds of tomatoes. Some are red, some are orange, some are green. Some are purple, almost blue. Some are yellow through and through. The striped ones are the coolest I have ever seen. There are 15,000 kinds of tomatoes with names like Lucky Tiger and Pineapple Pig. Some are small like the Tomberry or the little Chadwick Cherry. The green giants are, well, green and really big. They come from the Americas, but now they're everywhere because the whole world is in love with them and cannot get enough of them. There are 15,000 kinds of tomatoes. If you haven't found the perfect one for you, with a color and a flavor that you really, really savor, keep on looking and don't stop until you do. There's the Tsi Bayou from China, the black icicle from Ukraine. The Reisentraub from Germany has a flavor that's insane. Italy's Cour de Bouille, the Momotaro from Japan. The Brits' Tigerella is a tasty fella, delicious, man oh man. There are 15,000 kinds of tomatoes. It's a victory for nature and mankind. Red, blue, purple, green, or white, a different taste in every bite. If we could find every last one of them, there would be a couple tons of them. Come with me as I try, we'll taste them all and find out why the world has 15,000 kinds of tomatoes.
Who knew? That's a lot of tomatoes.
Can you imagine starting an album with this list of songs and ending up with it sounding like this? I mean, JB is not only incredible instrumentalist himself and singer and songwriter and all that, but that he is this compendium of musical styles. And when confronted with a question of how to produce something, I have total faith that JB's going to figure it out. Because
Eventually.
By the way, Cora said 15,000 kinds of tomatoes totally inspired our gardening. Tigerellas, the Brits, it goes by pretty quick. The Brits' Tigerella is a tasty fella, delicious, man oh man. So they went and they ordered them and they planted them in their garden and they sent me some seeds, the Tigerella seeds. I'm gonna put them in this year.
Okay, can I throw something in here before we wrap up? I know you're gonna have to mute me so I don't echo. My son who was 9 or something at the time when we first started these, and he started hearing them, he said, "What's up with these rhyme schemes?" That was the thing that knocked him out. He was like, they come from the Americas, but now they're everywhere because the whole world fell in love with them and cannot get enough of them. He was like, this is like hip hop level mastery of rhyme. And the whole, I swear, man, I think I know every single lyric to this record. Like that's half the fun of this album to me, is just listening to these insane rhymes that, I mean, I don't know, man. The whole like the feeling of any Red Grammar album is always this sort of like feeling of a lot of light, like a lot of light coming in the room, you know, or like the feeling of somebody opening a window. I was in a bad mood one day after we finished this, and I put it on in the car, and I listened to the whole thing 3 times because that's just where I needed to be coming from that day. Like I needed this type of energy instead of the sort of wrong side of the bed energy that I had that day. And I think it's not just for kids, you know, because the cleverness of the approach to the writing and the insane amount of musicianship from all these different people that got, like, this record, to me, it repeats it rewards close listening and repeated listening. It's the kind of stuff where you can, like, on the surface, it seems really simple and kind of whimsical most of the time, except for a couple of more serious songs. But to me, what I love about it, I love it when when something that's made for kids is just as good for grown-ups. You know, it's like the movie Cars or The Incredibles, you know, like some of the best Pixar stuff. You can be a grown-up and watch that without any kids around and totally get a different level of engagement out of it. And that's kind of like, I feel like this succeeds on that level. So I encourage you guys, like, if you listen to it, crank it up in the car or put headphones on and listen to it closely so that you can hear what's going on. Because there's the simplicity of it on the surface, or the kind of lightheartedness on the surface, belies this kind of layered thing that's going on underneath. And that's pretty cool. Like, like, my favorite albums are like that. So kudos to you, Red.
Well, friends, thank you for joining us. We are so proud of this recording on so many levels. And, you know, I was thinking this morning, just, you know, preparing in my head to do this afternoon, I was thinking all the things that went on in our families during these 4.5 years. You know, and I'm going to give you my side, and it's nothing compared to JB's side. My mother-in-law, who was living with us, passed. My brother-in-law passed. Very close together, they passed. Our dog passed. You know, I had knee surgery. Jan had a serious accident. All of that happened while we were doing this over the course of this time, and it doesn't stop us from doing this work. You know, when JB's list is far more involved than mine.
I don't know, man. Your list sounded pretty rich there.
Yeah, but yours was more day to day, intense. Yeah.
So we had to get away from it and come back to it a lot. That's what ended up happening. That's the reason why it was 4.5 years. It wasn't 4.5 years of nose to the grindstone.
No.
It was 4.5 years of getting taken out of action completely and then crawling back to it. Sorry about the echo.
The echo is my fault. I forgot to mute myself after speaking. So thank you so much again. Thank you to my patrons, past and present. I'm so grateful to you, and to JB for being a companion. Boy, did we have fun doing this album. What a journey. What a journey. Yeah.
Do you want to put on the album cover and I'll throw on the title track?
Buffalo, the world's got bees, the world's got jellyfish swimming in the seas. We got beavers and bears, bats and bugs, miniature poodles and slimy old slugs. Oh, hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, it's a special place. We got Mother Nature and the human race. Salami, the world's got cheese, maple syrup and mulberries. We got egg